So do you let people steal your joy? Well, I don't. And you got to listen in and find out what me and Laura do to stop that nonsense. Hi, welcome back to Chit Chat and Chill. So I'm Antoinette. I'm the owner of Pixel This. It's a full service design firm. So whatever you need for your company, business, or service, we got you covered. But before we deep dive into this juicy topic of stealing joy, I think a lot of people suffer from it. And I have at different times and try to catch myself whenever possible. But I have to introduce Laura, my awesome co-host.
Hi, I'm Laura Fickett. I own Fickett Financial Education and Business Coaching, where I love to help people make more money, manage it better, and retain it to build their wealth. If you feel stuck, you feel like you should be further along, you feel like you don't love your job and you want to start a business, anything financially that's stressful for you, I probably have a solution. Maybe you have one or two solutions in your head. I probably have 30. After thousands of clients, I'm sure I have a solution that can help you, and I do free consultations. So don't be frustrated with your finances and say, F it. Call Fickett.
That's our catchphrase.
I know. Today we're talking about stealing joy. And I like Antoinette when she said that she catches it. Sometimes I don't catch it. And I find that I can catch it when it's people I don't really care about. But when it's people I care about, it's bothersome. I was thinking of an example on the way into the studio where I wanted this vehicle like in the worst way. I thought it was so beautiful. It had just come out. I bought like it brand new, and my ex-husband had to go pick it up for me because he was near the dealership that I bought it from. And when he pulled in the driveway, I was like, oh, I was like a kid on Christmas. I was so excited. It was so beautiful. It was the cranberry color that I love. It was like fantastic. And it was a large SUV, and it was so beautiful. And he got out of the truck, and I was like, how was it? And he was like, this thing stinks. And I was like, oh, I know. And it was like such a joy stealer.
Yeah.
And because like I was so excited, and when people, that you care about, because I did care about him at that point in time. Now I care about him in a different way.
Yeah.
But you want them to be excited for you. At least if they can't be excited about the thing, you want them to be excited for you. And that wasn't the scenario. And so he stole my joy. And that wasn't the only time he stole my joy. And so that's why he's an ex. But does that happen to you? Like you get super excited about something and you want your best friend or, somebody you care about to be excited for you, and they're just not. And they're negative Nillies. And like how I combat that now is I think it's their problem. It's not my problem. I shouldn't let it affect me. I try to understand where they're coming from, whether it's jealousy, which, to be honest, I mean,
that's
it
like
is.
9 times out of 10.
Nine times out of 10, it's jealousy. And doesn't even have to be jealousy. Like in that truck scenario, it didn't even have to be jealousy about the vehicle. That particular person is not a very joyous person. And so it could be jealousy over the fact that you're so excited that they want to pull you down to their level of non-excitement, because misery loves company.
Oh, yeah.
But like, is that what 9 times out of 10 is jealousy? Not even about the object. It could just be about your excitement.
Yeah. I think what a lot of people do is they look externally at other people and they're like, oh, they have it all. They're this, that, and the other. And I had that.
Well, I mean, I do, but I'm just kidding. I'm totally joking.
No, but I had that a couple years ago where I was talking to, I heard the same thing from like 3 totally different people from totally different circles and totally different states. But they each said the same thing, like, oh, you have like one of those lives that's like marshmallows and roses. And they said that because I'm always happy. And I'm like, that doesn't mean my circumstances are any less joyous.
No, I mean, I know a lot of your circumstances.
Yeah. And that's when I said, I'm like, excuse me, I lost 3 family members in a year and a half. My biggest design client just fired 80 people, and those were all the people that it was just like on and on and on. And then I'm like, and then this happened and that happened. I'm like, any one of those scenarios would take a normal person and send them off the haywire.
That's true.
And I think the fact that I'm just always happy is what they thought, like, oh, therefore I must have an easy life. And then because of that, then then you get jealous or whatever. Or some people, maybe they do have easier lives than you. Maybe they make better money. They have more attractive spouses and they live in better houses and all their kids get A's. But you know what I mean?
Enough about me.
But I still love Laura. No, no, but it's one of those that you got to realize, like, everybody, they're the way I think about it is whoever's on the planet, they have something better than I do.
Always.
And they have something worse than I do.
Always.
So if I just focus on the things they have better than I do, why am I doing that? I'm stealing my own joy.
Yes, if everybody just realized that they have the perfect life for what they have, like, just, experience gratitude. I remember watching a movie one time that the guy said his parents were like poor as church mouse, but the happiest couple that he's ever seen. Like, of course, there is always going to be somebody that's better than you. Like, I don't know if Elon Musk walks around like that. He must think maybe he's at the top. I have no idea, but there's always going to be.
Him,
he has problems. Like Warren Buffett talks about, he has financial problems. They're just different. He's not worried about the price of bacon, right? Like, they're just different. But everybody has problems. It's how you think about them. But I do find that, when we do get into, like, I've gotten into that circle of where, I try to explain myself, like, they say, oh, well, you have such an easy life. You must have grown up with a silver spoon. And I'm like, no, my dad came here from Italy with a quarter in his pocket. And then, like, I have to try and stop myself, because that was like the old me of trying to explain it to make them feel better. Like, no. Yeah. Like, I just say, like, no, that's not my circumstances, but I have chosen to try to be happy. It is a learned skill. Yeah. I was not as positive as I am now. And I'm sure Antoinette, probably wasn't as positive as she is now too. It's a learned skill. Actually, I find the people that have the most hardship are the ones that are the most, like, great gratitude. They express the most gratitude, and they're happier people after, because they have a better perspective on things. Yeah. So, but people try to steal your joy, and sometimes they don't even know they're trying to steal your joy. So I can be in a meeting with a room full of people, and I can be perfectly happy. And then somebody just, like, it could be the sound of their voice. It could be the way they're speaking.
I know who she's talking about.
It could be anybody. It could be anybody. It could be, like, I remember I used to watch this show called The Nanny or whatever. And my husband's like, oh, her voice. Yeah. Like, it could just be something. It's not their problem. It's your problem, actually, why they're irritating you. But you let them steal your joy. Because then you start to have these negative feelings, and for what? Like, what is the purpose? In my opinion, that's just Satan trying to enter and, like, ruin your day. Yeah. Because if you read through the Bible, God does not promote negative feelings. So read through Proverbs. If you're not going to read any other book in the Bible, read Proverbs. It's like a manual for life. Like, but God's not putting those feelings of, like, frustration or anger or, like, anything in your head. That's totally Satan. That's trying to get into your head and really have, like, ruin your day. So sometimes when people steal your joy, it's not them. Like, on the road when you're driving, it's not them stealing your joy because they cut you off. It's how you react to that that steals your joy. So sometimes you have to take the responsibility that you stole your own joy.
Yeah. And the one thing that it's funny, because I had this one guy at the gym ask me, and he's like, you're always so happy. Like, I walk in the gym and everyone's like, they're just miserable. They're there. And he goes, and then you're like this, like, Mexican jumping bean, like, you're in your own little world. And I'm like, what? I'm at the gym. I'm working out. I'm listening to my favorite tune.
I love the smell of sweat.
No, and he's like, honestly, like, what makes you happy? And I'm like, oh my God, like, everything, like, if it's sunny, if it's rainy, if it's this. And I go, a harder question would be, what makes me sad? Unhappy. Yeah. And he goes, okay, well, what makes you sad? And I could not think of anything. I literally couldn't think of anything. And I said, I want to do the question justice. So I'll think of it overnight and I'll report to you in the morning. So I did. I really had to think, like, what honestly makes me sad?
Dead animals on the side of the road.
No, but it's close. So my in the end result, it was, if somebody purposely, and purposely is the key word in this, purposely does something to hurt another human or animal. Mm-hmm. And that's the only thing I could come up with. That really just makes me sad because there's a lot of people that hurt other people and they don't mean to, or it's a misunderstanding or whatever. But I think for me, the biggest game changer with the whole joy thing is like if somebody asked me, can I change another person's emotions? I'd be like, no. Like, how can I change another person's emotions? Like, that's crazy.
If you punch them in the face.
No, but like when you think about it, it's like
they might change from not upset to upset.
Yeah, that's one way.
I think physical violence can inflict somebody's emotions.
But in general, like, I would never think I could change someone's emotions. But when you're letting someone steal your joy, that's exactly what you're doing. You're letting somebody else control your emotions.
The funny thing is you are so humble that you don't realize that you can change people's emotions because you do make people happier.
Well, yeah, you could. That's true. To me, I like doing. Yeah.
From a positive standpoint, I can't have a conversation with you and be unhappy.
Oh, that's sweet.
It's true. It's totally true. And some people, like you said, you can't change somebody's emotions. I don't know, like. I feel like maybe you can, and we think of the bad way, but you can change somebody's emotions in a good way. And I wish more people did that.
Yeah.
Like in my truck scenario, he could have stepped out and said, I don't like it for me, but I think you're going to love it.
Yeah.
That's it. Like you cannot like something, but be happy for somebody else.
Yeah. I know.
That sentence would have made all the difference.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody last week, and this is a topic they're extremely passionate about. And they like fixated on and on and on.
Stealing joy?
Yeah. Oh. No, not stealing joy. It was just like a topic that they were like, oh, and then this. And they get really angry and wrapped up, and this is an ongoing saga in their life. And I get it. It's, whatever. But then they try to bring everybody in it. And I might not agree with their stance on a particular subject, or I might
could be politics,
have a different take. So I'll voice like, oh, well, what about this? And they were shooting it down. And I was getting to the point where I could see like I wasn't liking where it was going. So I just said, look, you obviously think about it this way. I think about it totally different. And that's okay. Let's just change the topic and not bring this up again. And there's a million other things we could talk about, but let's just agree to disagree. And they were like, great, and it's just an easy...
Yeah, most of the time the topic doesn't even affect either one of your daily lives.
No, and then like 5 seconds later, like I was literally feeling myself tense up talking about this. And then after that, I was almost to the point like, do I just end the call? Like, what do I do? And then after that, we switched the topic, and then we're like laughing like 30 seconds later about something totally different,
I know. My husband had asked me, like he had said to me, oh, I would never make you, do something that you didn't enjoy doing. I'm like, give me an example. And he's like, I can't really think of one right now. And I'm like, yeah, because I can enjoy doing anything. And in my head, I'm thinking like, okay, put me in a pit full of snakes. Like, I'm thinking of like Fear Factor extreme type stuff.
Yeah.
Which obviously anybody would be uncomfortable in that situation. But like, really, I went ziplining with my kids and I watched the videos. So I like to do a little research. And there was like a rope bridge over a ravine. And I was thinking, I don't know about that. Like, I can lift up my legs or you can push me off a platform and I'm going to go ziplining, like whether I want to or not, right?
Yeah.
But to actually make my legs move across like a rope bridge, like, I'm not sure I'm capable of that. But I'm like, I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I did get a little nauseous, like walking across the rope bridge, but it was fine. And even if I threw up, like, first of all, there's nobody below me in the ravine. Whatever. And the kids would have been laughing about it for generations.
Yeah, that'd be a good family story.
I know. So I can still like try to enjoy things and not let even circumstances like steal my joy. I can be nervous. I could be, I could feel sick. I can be nauseous. But really, I, at the end of the day, am in charge of how I let those comments or the people cutting me off or anything, how they affect me. I had an acupuncturist once that she was Asian. She said to me like, oh, Americans, they don't know how to control their emotions. And I think about her all the time because I think she was very good at controlling her emotions, almost emotionless, to be honest. But I don't want to be like that. I just want to try to exhibit positive
Yeah.
emotions. And it doesn't mean that Antoinette and I are not sad sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, I know that there's times when things aggravate us or things don't go our way or we're frustrated. It's just our thought process about them is different. We don't let it affect us for days and weeks and months
Yeah.
like other people.
I think what a lot of people do is they'll try not to get themselves like, oh, that's upsetting. And then they try to like almost repress those emotions. Like, I don't want to get upset. I don't want to get upset. For me, I get upset. Like, if something's upsetting or whatever, I'll be like, and then I'm fine. It's
I
half.
can't wait to see that.
No, but then it's like half an hour later, and it's done. I've processed it. I had the motion. It went through. I've processed it. And now I'm not thinking about it, an hour later, a day later, a week later. And I think a lot of times when people hold on to those emotions, just go through it. The other thing that I do that I think it's part of letting people steal your joy is I forgive pretty much everybody. And I don't condone what they did by any way, shape, or form, but people are like, oh, like I had this one guy he was just a terrible human being, and he was a stalker, and he was all nasty, and he did something really terrible, and he's like, I want to apologize, and I'm sorry, and I'm like, oh, I forgive you. And he goes, and then he wanted to like somehow repair the relationship, and I go, I forgive you, I never want to see you again. I go,
No.
two totally different things. I'm like, and I don't forgive them for them. I forgive for me because I don't want to hold on to any sort of nastiness, because whether people apologize or not, they're not thinking about it a week later. So if you're sitting there like, I'm still mad because you're
They're living
letting
rent free.
yeah, exactly, which makes no sense to me. So for me, like I can easily like I just don't have those emotions of like revenge or like where I'm going to sit there like holding on to these things. Like there's people that I know have wronged me multiple times in my life, so I don't want them in my life. If they changed and turned over a new leaf,
It's family. Family.
yeah, like yeah, like I could name somebody that it's like they're basically dead to me now. But at the same time, if something changed and they came around or wanted to repair a relationship, I'm all for it.
It's true. Like, I mean, why not? Because they're not. If people consume themselves with revenge and all kinds of stuff, time is not abundant. Like you're wasting valuable time. You're wasting like precious moments where you could be having fun, thinking about somebody that doesn't think about you. This is how I think about things. I did date somebody in between my marriages that said to me, we broke up, and they said, I'm not a bad person. I just do bad things. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of the definition of a bad person. But so my son is the third. So my ex-husband is a junior. His father's passed away, is, the senior. And this is how I rarely think about this situation. My, like, I only think that there's one in my life. So when my son has to write like the third, sometimes I get caught up like, why? This is how I've like removed myself completely from that situation. And I have to like catch myself like, oh yeah, right. There are other Davids in his lineage. I just don't think about it. I find the older I get, like I think my brain is so full that it's purging information that actually I need sometimes. Never mind the information I don't need. Like sometimes I'm like, wait a second. If you walk into a room and you have no idea why you did, and you just thought about something 2 seconds ago, your brain purged information that it needed.
Yeah.
Like really. So you need to get rid of the information it doesn't need. But I think as far as forgiving someone, you're right. Like you forgive them for you, and you don't forgive them. Like there was somebody that, that I didn't care for. And when all else fails, I should include God immediately. But in this scenario, I waited and included God later. And I said, God, listen, I know you want me to love everybody, but this person is so difficult. I really just don't like them. The difference between love and like is, loving, God wants you to love people. Like means you want to spend time with them and be near them. I wanted to be nowhere near them. So I said, God, please let me love them from as far away as possible. Like, and I will do my best to like pray for them and pray for their family. And I haven't seen the person since.
Yeah.
It was like, and a friend of mine said like, wow, I think you did so well that I haven't seen them either.
Yeah. Me neither. It was really good. No,
So,
but
I mean, I think in scenarios too, you should include God,
Yeah.
like first and foremost. And I am still, that's a work in process for me, where if somebody's trying to steal my joy, I should say, like, I try to say, God, fill me with the Holy Spirit because this person is depleting me. But really, if you can include God, he does help. Like
Yeah.
he helps lift you back up where you're supposed to be and let you move on from all kinds of things.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I think there's a lot of times people will get in this cranky mode. I see it all the time, whatever they had.
Maybe they're in perimenopause.
Could could be anything, but it's one of those like for example, like me and Laura are good friends, love her to death, and if she ever said something like off kilter, I wouldn't be like, oh my God, but I would just go, probably something's happening in her life that I don't know about, because the key is in my life I try to keep people in my inner circle that I love and trust and honestly care for, that when something does go awry, I give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, wow, at face value, what that person said is really mean. But you know what? Let me just take it. They probably have a bigger issue than saying that thing, And I think if you just give somebody grace in those things and then circle back with them like, oh, what was going on? And like 99% of the time, it was something. They just had a fight. They just did this,
They can be sick, like physically
yeah,
sick.
yeah. Because sometimes when people just, whether a lot of times they're going on and they have this internal battle of they're struggling with whatever, their marriage, their work, their finances, their health, and they just want to kind of be left alone. And when somebody's all bubbly and happy, it's almost like, stop that, And I get it, where if it's somebody that I don't know, and they're just nasty, then there's somebody I'll never know. And that's fine by me.
Now, being the financial person I am, I always think of a relationship like a bank account, right? So in that scenario, like if somebody's made a ton of deposits and a ton of deposits and a ton of deposits, but then you find them and they're rude or mean, or they're making a withdrawal, but they've made 20 deposits. So the amount in the bank account is 10,000. If they withdraw 1,000, they still have $9,000 more in that bank account. Now it's when people continually make withdrawals that the account becomes overdrawn and you have to close the account.
Yeah. And that's yeah.
how I think about relationships, right?
Yeah.
If people
No, I
are
like
constantly
that.
making deposits, then you also have to let them make withdrawals every now and then and give them grace. But if they make too many withdrawals, not enough deposits, that's when
Yeah.
overdraft doesn't exist forever.
The other thing that I hear all the time, and I think it's such a tragedy when people are like, relationships are 50-50 or this is 50-50. That means you're keeping score. You know what I mean?
Sometimes it's 90-10.
Yeah. And that's okay. Like it's one of those things, like, to me, a relationship, I have to give 100% of myself into a relationship all the time. I'm not sitting there going, how much are they giving into me? At the end of the day, I'm just like, kind of like you. Are they bringing me joy? Are they adding to my life? Whatever. And then I'm always going to give them 100% when I can. If I'm sick and I can only bring 50 because, I have pneumonia and I got like one eye hanging out or something, like,
Don't wish that upon yourself. That'll be next week's episode.
No, but it's like one of those things that sometimes, like, I try to give what I can,
Right, but then when you're sick, like my husband was sick last week, he was maybe given 20 and I had to give 80. That's just the way it is.
Yeah,
Like,
but to sit there and go, well, I've done this, this, and this, and what have you done for me lately? You either are in a relationship or you're not. If you're keeping score, it's a losing game no matter what.
Yeah.
No matter what.
But if somebody is constantly stealing your joy, like they might have some underlying things that they need to work through too. Because I do find that as I get older and I've gone to therapy and I've taken psychology classes, people have a lot of unresolved trauma. Really, I mean, really, I can probably, if you put 10 people in a room, 9 of them have some unresolved trauma. It could be sexual abuse, could be death in the family, could even be like, something that somebody said to them that impacted them in a negative way when they were younger. And like my brother that's closest in age to me, I remember him telling me that, oh, you're all Italian and you're going to have a mustache like by the time you're 16. And like, I remember him saying that over and over and over again. And it was like a valid concern of mine growing up. Like, not that that's unresolved trauma, but that can take a hit to your confidence level, right? Like, now, I don't know, it's 2026, like, girls are growing mustaches for fun. I don't know what the deal is. But back in the 80s, it wasn't something I wanted. So it could be like, your siblings said something, or I know people that had a weight loss journey, and so when they were heavier, like they weren't feeling good about themselves. And so that can be unresolved trauma that they still think like differently of them, even though they've gotten fit and healthy. So there's a lot of people that have unresolved issues boiling underneath the surface. And so when they steal your joy, a lot of times, if we need a psychologist to call in. If we had somebody calling here that had a psychology degree, they would probably say that person is incapable of feeling joy for other people because XYZ, whatever. So you have to, if you look a little bit deeper, they're probably not intentionally trying to steal their joy. There are some people, yes.
Yeah.
But others, they've just, life has beaten them down and they haven't learned how to put things into perspective and express gratitude instead of negative feelings, and pray for them. Yeah. Pray for them.
The other thing, I think, it's just human nature. Like, we're relational, we have emotions. So of course you want to get along with everybody or have everyone like you or
until
whatever.
You turn 40 something. And you're like, forget it.
No, but it's like, it is one of those that it's going to impact you. So what I found too is people have a tendency, like if somebody says something negative to them, it like hits harder. Like they could hear 30 positive comments in that same day, but the one they're going to remember is that negative one because it hit them harder. But if you really look in context, like step back and go, yeah, but this happened and that happened, whatever. And then, oh, they said this. You know what I mean? Like if you actually step back and realize how many positive things happen in your day versus that one negative, but people just have a tendency to focus on that one because it hits emotionally harder for some people where it stings. Where you're going to remember something that stung, and especially if it was a loved one, if it's
or if there's a tiny little bit of truth to it.
Yeah.
If you really did make a mistake and there's a tiny little bit of truth to it, then you're like, oh.
Yeah, then you beat yourself up over it. Yeah.
We all fail every day, like constantly. And so if you're 9 times out of 10, you're doing well, and then one time you fail, like just pick yourself back up as fast as you can and like a little weeble wobble.
Yeah.
But don't fall down kind of stuff. We got to wrap things up.
Oh, no.
The next topic we're going to talk about is boundaries.
Which is kind of a continuation.
I think this is like a new word. I guess I don't really remember thinking. I probably didn't think about it 20 years ago because I didn't set any up. If you talk to my therapist, that's probably what they would say. And here's the thing, so I joke about, we wish we had a therapist call in. I really do, but I firmly believe in therapy. But I go to therapy, when I need to talk to somebody and I want an unbiased opinion and somebody that has talked to thousands of other people that can give me different perspectives, because I don't want, when I do have negative things, I don't want them to overflow to my family. I want to be able to talk to a professional that can help me work through those things. So I highly recommend to have one on speed dial when you need them. But boundaries, I don't think I set up any when I was younger. And so now as I get older, I'm like, okay, I need to set boundaries. And it's not rules to live by. It's I won't accept certain things in my life.
Yeah.
I won't accept certain behaviors. Certain behaviors are just unacceptable for healthy relationships with people. And if you can't have those healthy relationships with people, then I guess you don't have any relationship with that person. Yeah. That's the end. If they constantly are coming over your boundaries.
But I think it's a continuation because I don't really think of it as boundaries, whatever, but there's just acceptable behavior if you're in my inner circle or if you expect me to interact with you. If you can't treat me with a certain amount of respect, then you know what? I'm out. It's that simple. And I guess that's would be called a boundary, but it's I'm not going to, just because you're having a bad day or you don't know how to treat people, I'm not going to let it affect my life, And
it's not stupid things okay, you can never clear your throat in my house ever again because not things like that.
Oh, I can do it now?
Throat clearing is something I never knew would bother me so much. But no, like I am so happy that my younger children have learned how to set boundaries. And I see it in their dating relationships. My daughters are like, I really care about this person. However, like they repeatedly do this thing that is a boundary for me, that so I have to let them go. And I'm like, wow, like I would have prevented a lot of hassle maybe in my 20s or my dating life. But yeah, we're going to talk about some ways to set some healthy boundaries so that you can, in conjunction with today, not let people steal your joy and try to live a happier, more peaceful life, which is really what I think everybody is seeking.
Yeah.
Everybody just wants to be happy and peaceful.
And I think everybody, you should know at least one or two go-to things that will make you happy. Like, do you have a song that every time you hear it, you light up? Or is
Juggling.
playing fetch with your dog, like, oh my God, that's so, that just brings joy to see them wagging or whatever. Like, there is that. You should have at least one thing, and if not, find it. Like, pay attention to what no matter what's going on, you just find yourself smiling afterwards, for
Honestly,
sure.
lately I've been practicing juggling because I learned how to juggle a couple of years ago, but it requires focus and it stops my mind from thinking about anything else. So sometimes I just pick up the juggling balls and I practice juggling because I just need to quiet.
We're so opposite. Like, I have no coordination or skill. And she's like, I'm a master archery. I can juggle, like I can horseback ride. I'm like the spaz that I'm lucky I get here every week.
That's what makes it so good for us.
Yes. So whether you're a spaz or a magic coordinating skill, everything,
Just super active. I probably would be diagnosed with some sort of hyperactivity, something.
Yeah, I have
don't
the
know.
hypermobility, so don't move like that, or you'll fall. But definitely join us next week. So until then, never stop laughing.
And never stop learning. See you later, guys.